Coming to you live from deep within a surprisingly warm radioactive wasteland, actually. We are the survivors of the alt-right apocalypse. The few, the brave, the bitchy, once more wading into battle against the froggy lobster homelandy fetty glowy hordes. There we go. That's it. That's what I was groping for. With Rantzerker number 196. Honey Badger Radio targeted by Homeland Security, part 2, question mark. I am Allison, and I am with Karen and Brian.
And we are asking which one of us is the infiltrator.
The mole.
It's like that video game.
Among Us.
It's one of us.
One of us is sus.
Among Us.
Yeah, one of us is informing.
Yeah. And which one? You know, did you expect a who? Well, I guess is it a who done it or a who spun it?
What?
Who? Well, I don't think.
If we have like a setup where there's 3 of us and one of us is the informer and we have to figure out who it is, that's not a who done it, but it's a type of mystery, isn't it?
I don't know.
Well, there's like a video game that my kids.
There's a
play.
traitor in our midst.
There's a traitor in the midst.
It's like, the video game is Among Us. I know that's what you're talking
about. Among
about.
Us, that's it, yeah.
Among Us.
Yeah, so it's like, but yeah, no, apparently we're just that interesting. So, but not so interesting that they have someone among us, I don't think. So. Well, because I can't imagine Allison being a traitor, or Brian, or me, or you know, like Mike Stevenson, or Lauren B, or you know, what, like Lauren B's like the Mata Hari of the freaking Department of Homeland Security infiltrating the men's rights movement. Like, I mean, she's got the cleavage for it, but I just don't see it.
All right. Okay, so we better get into it.
We've probably been infiltrated though at a low level.
At a low level.
Yeah, no, in the greetings and salutations room.
There's not much actual levels to our
organization. No, in the greetings and salutations room, there's probably somebody installed in there.
Yeah, but there's like low versus high. Does that really apply to us? Like.
Well, no, but I mean, like, in terms of, you know, to observe, right? You know, observe and report back.
Of what?
On our nefarious activities.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, I am almost thinking of taking things into my own hands here and stealing a dirt truck, okay, a sand truck, and spreading it all over my streets, because we got 3 centimeters of snow, okay? Heavy, wet snow that got packed down, and they haven't done shit with it, okay? And so now all of our residential streets are just a skating rink. Like, they're just... I was watching a woman skate her kid to the bus stop this morning with skates.
Yeah, actually, it's been a very frustrating time because it's quite difficult to walk. Like,
yeah, and it's beautiful out. It's like right now in Edmonton, it's 7 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's 5 degrees here, so a little cooler.
That's Celsius, guys. Don't freak out.
Celsius. Yeah.
So not infinite cold for all of you who
this is like shirt sleeve weather. I went and I took my garbage out and stuff without even putting a sweater over my tank top.
Well, I still wore a sweater, but that's because I live on the bald prairies, not a city. Yeah, it's been unusual, and the problem is that it snows, then it warms up, turns to ice, and then turns all the sidewalks into skating rinks, which are actually exhausting to navigate when you're trying to walk your dog.
Yeah, and if you didn't get the snow when it first fell, right, then you're boned, right? Because it just freezes. It all freezes overnight. Like it half melts, then it freezes, and then it's like now you're chipping. You're chipping the whole thing. Right? It's not shoveling anymore. It's like pick and shovel stuff. Ugh.
Mm.
It's like you're an ice miner on frickin' Andoria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Star Trek reference.
I'm a
there.
little distracted because I'm having an argument over, Japanese versus I don't know what to call it, post-Renaissance storytelling, and it's a little bit distracting because I'm just far more interested in storytelling than being targeted by the FBI or
It's the
Homeland
Department of
Security.
Homeland Security.
Yeah,
Allison.
I don't even. Why? I mean, I feel embarrassed for them.
I know, eh?
It's like, why would you? And also, I feel like this should be something the American taxpayers are like, why are you wasting your money? Like,
Mhm.
why are you not your money? Why are you wasting our money on this? This should be a travesty, honestly. That they are actually taking funds away from protecting Americans to observing a bunch of spurgs talk about anime and the Lord of the Rings. Like, what the frick? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, really?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think we're gonna do?
What the Epic of Gilgamesh tells us about masculinity.
What do you think
right?
that we're gonna do? Are we gonna put on like a D&D game that somehow morphs into, I don't know, throwing over the government or something? Like, what?
God, that would be so
Just gave them
based.
ideas. Yeah,
It would be based, but I just can't
I'm
be
here for
arsed.
that. The D&D
I can't be
game that
arsed.
becomes a revolution.
It's
Yes.
just too much work. Like, also, I don't really have that much of an interest. I mean, how is it possible that they think that any of us are a manifest threat to the American public when most of us can't even stop arguing on Twitter? Like,
Well, and as well, it's like we're not highly politically active, right? I mean, this is really the thing. It's like, how many people have told me I should run for office? Like, how many people? A lot of people have told me I should run for office. And I'm like, fuck no. Like, who has the energy for that, right? And I'd have to clean up my language, right? There's no
lot
smoking
to
in government
ask.
buildings.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask.
Like, give me a break. No, I'm never going to do that.
Besides, oh no, something's wrong with my thing.
Oh,
Oh no, I didn't mean to press that.
okay.
Okay, let's get on with it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
So
get
we're
on
gonna-
with pointing out the stupidity of all of this.
what are we looking at right now? What do you guys want to look at?
The same.
Should I share my
document. Yeah.
share the Twitters with you? Hold on.
Do you
I'll
remember
share
the
screen.
document?
What?
The one that
The official document.
The official document of why we're being watched.
Oh, the diverting hate thing?
Or diverting. Yeah, the
I
diverting
think it
hate.
got taken down. Did you know that?
No, did you get a copy? It got taken down, huh?
Yeah, I think they did. Maybe, yeah. Let me see.
Second,
Hold
just
on.
a second.
I got the application for to make the report, but the actual thing we were looking at the other day, last time we did one of these, the DHS or whatever, they took it down.
Huh.
But it's still, I'm sure it's still a thing. We have like I said, like the screenshots and stuff.
I have
that
on my computer still.
BX shared. Actually,
Yeah. Here, let me see. Like, wow, I didn't realize that this was going to happen. Sorry, folks.
yeah, they took it down. Down the memory hole, the document went. Yep, that's right.
Okay, wait a second. Let me give this a try because.
But it was definitely there. And BX, the person who shared it.
Here we go.
I'm gonna have her. She is a woman. I'm gonna have her on for a fireside chat on Monday.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
look
so-
at what I got. Look at what I got. I still have it
Do you have it?
right here. Yes, I do.
Can you give me a link or something, and then I can just
No.
put it up on the screen?
No. We I can't because It's gone. I think it's
a PDF, so you should be able to.
I can't download it because I only have this. This is ephemeral, guys.
It's in your cache.
Window, it's in my cache. Unless somebody can tell me how to access it.
As
soon as I close this window, it's gone.
No, it's okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna capture
You can copy and paste, copy all, and paste all into a document.
I'll try, but I'm on a PC, not a Mac. All right.
Why can't you do that?
What are you gonna do?
Control A. Control A.
Well, let
Control
me see.
A.
It's not giving me that option. Control.
I could also share your screen. All right, let me do that instead. Hold on. I'm gonna share the screen that you're sharing. Give me a second, guys. Sorry.
Sorry about this.
Okay, so I gotta go to your screen again.
Yeah, you gotta go to mine. Gotta go to mine.
The hell?
Yeah, no, I'm
look at it from there.
I'm on yours, but Brian's gonna share your screen on his stream.
Yes, and then we will be able to show the last accessible one of these. And I think that it maybe what happened is BX changed the sharing permissions on it. But here we go. Do you see it?
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay, you need another second.
I'm just trying to change it.
Why would if BX changed the sharing why would she change the sharing permissions? How could she change the sharing permissions?
Well, because it's her document, so it might be a situation where she's
No. This is the DHS. This is the report to the DHS from the DHS website.
Okay, all right.
This is the DHS's document that BX wrote a report on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, gotcha.
Yeah.
So it is a situation where they've made this and I apologize for the difference in you see the difference in my volume. This is when I'm actually looking at my screens and this is when I'm eating my mic. So just so that you guys know.
Well, I'm sharing it. I'm sharing your Twitter exchange too, Allison, because you're sharing it right now. So maybe switch back to the maybe switch back. I mean, I can look. Hold on a second.
Here we go. I got it. It's right here.
All right.
Everything's good. And everything is everything has been salvaged in some I mean the whole situation hasn't been salvaged, but at least we can look at it on here.
I think is it diverting hate, misogynist extremism?
Yes.
Manosphere.
Okay, actually I can access the thing she sent you through your Twitter on my end. So I can just share that.
Are you sure are you sharing my stream?
I'm sharing your window right now, yeah.
Yeah, let's just keep it at that because otherwise we might be introducing more problems. All right,
okay.
So
I'm sharing Karen it, so it's on the screen.
Karen's
so you're the
lovely
one
mug.
driving, okay?
Yeah, I know I'm the one driving, and I shall attempt to drive.
Before
that I can.
Before you get into that, I did get a super chow, and you probably should thing the things anyways. So
you're right.
Put that up on the screen real quick and read it. Richard Bier gives us $5 and says, imagine if the government put as much scrutiny into the telemarketing scammers that are doing actual economic damage to people and possibly the reputation of the companies that they impersonate. All right. Thank you for that.
Not just telemarket. Like you see Elon Musk, you see Justin Trudeau, you see like all of these people like Tom Cook from Apple, right? You know, and they're doing deep fakes of their voices, like a whole bunch of journalists at like MSNBC and CNN and stuff, talking about, you know, how the Canadian government has partnered with X and Toronto Dominion Bank, right, to give you a passive income stream, right? And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Every Canadian can make $4,000 a month through this passive income stream. You know, and I'm just like, okay, so they're not going after that.
But they're going after anti-feminists.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Because we're a bigger threat.
It's not because we're about men's issues. It's not
But
because we
feminism
talk
isn't
about
the status quo, guys. It's the underdog. It just happens to have all of the state's weapons at its disposal.
Yeah, no, it's not because we advocate for men to get help in certain areas, or to say that men are being left behind or they're being ignored or disregarded. It's because we're like, and feminism is what's doing it. That's why.
Or at
That's
least
why. Because if you're anti-feminist,
contributing
you're
factor.
anti-woman by definition
Isn't
to
it
these
interesting?
people.
I was thinking about that, how feminism has become synonymous with the gender. So if you're anti-feminist, you're anti-woman. But at the same time as masculinity or men have become synonymous with ideology. So in other words, if you are anti-man, you're anti the masculine ideology. So men are associated with an ideology just by fact, and an ideology isn't a gender. Do you get what I'm saying? So a gender is an ideology, and an ideology is a gender, and everybody's wondering where all this crap came from.
Yeah, no, it's and
absurd.
people, like I see people talking about it, and they're like, well, this started like 10, 15 years ago, right? No. Like, this started in the 1800s, right? And then they decided they were going to install it into the universities, because from the universities, right, goes everything, right? From there,
That's what we learn about reality. It's where we learn about reality.
Every aspect of society is populated and controlled and run by people who were educated in universities, right? So journalism and the law and politics and anthropology and
the utilities,
sociology and like everything, HR departments, right? And all of these courses, this is what's insidious about it. All of these courses, you could just basically generally call them the courses that end with the word studies, right? So, gender studies, women's studies, queer studies, African American studies, indigenous studies, all of these different studies, and then the grand poobah of all of these programs, which would be interdisciplinary studies, where you learn just a little bit. You get to take a little bit off the buffet from each of these programs, right? They all have an activism component, right? You earn credit by organizing protests or participating in protests, right? The women who attended, the people in women's studies courses, that one who said at the Warren Farrell protest that she was there as part of her women's studies course program, she was earning credit for that, for participating in that protest, right? So the whole point is to activate these students and convert them into an almost a cult-like or religious fervor, right? From which they want to proselytize. They want to proselytize their way of thinking everywhere. So where do they go? They move on into all the jobs that allow them to do that, to convert, willing or otherwise, as many people as possible. Right? And that is where we are right now. That was a 40-year freaking plan, right? That started with the first women's studies course in 1970.
All right. So I want to remind everyone that I have started, it's a little bit early, but I started the monthly fundraiser at feedthebadger.com/support. I'm thinking of seeing if we can get it done a little early. So we're not necessarily doing it through the holidays, but that'll depend on you guys. So if you would like to support the show, go to feedthebadger.com/support. And if you would like to send us a message, that is at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. You get the full benefit. We get the full benefit of whatever funds you send, and you get the benefit of avoiding YouTube's minefield of comment enhancement. So once again, feedthebadger.com/support to make sure we can continue to do these shows, and feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send us, a little gratuity plus some, plus your whatever message you want, whatever comment you have. If you want to scream at us, you want to correct us, you want to add, etc., then do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. All right, let's get into it. See, so we have Karen's lovely mug. next to Sasha Daygame, who is apparently, according to Homeland Security, the face of misogyny.
Well, a face of
A face of
misogyny.
misogyny. Well, they're basically just lumping him in with all the pickup artists, right?
Yeah, no, and it's like he's the least extreme of all of the pickup artists. Like, he's the most pro-feminist of all of the pickup artists, and like, they just don't know, right? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, why didn't they like grab a screen grab of me talking with Chris Cantwell? Literally the night before he turned himself in, I had him on for an interview. He wanted to have his say, and he trusted me to be honest and to be willing to do it. And I was,
looks like it is
because I've always been like, I'll talk to anybody, right?
Looks like this document is missing a bit. Let me see if I can get it through, or do you want to see if you can get it through the Twitter account there?
Are
Brian?
you asking me?
Yeah, go see if you can get it, because I'm missing the last half
On
of it.
BX's account?
Yes, on BX's account.
All right,
So
hold on.
here we have Karen and the dread misogynist Sasha Daygame.
It's kind of like a ways down, right? Because she's been posting like.
Yeah, it's a ways up, eh? I can do it myself. Let me see.
No, I found the post, but like I said, I had her original tweet up already, and it didn't open a link. I think like when you click on it.
Yeah, something's
I
going
mean, there
on.
are some blurbs like that she's taken some screenshots, but if you try to open up the diverting hate, there's also a video. We could look at the video. Here's the YouTube video where the team explains their program to a panel of judges. Want me to open that?
And well thought.
It's kind of long. It's like, but she's got a time code here. Hold on a second.
And well thought out.
Yeah, sorry. This is like, guys, this is a lot of documents to go through, and they get a little confusing.
Yeah.
And like as we said, this is probably the tip of the iceberg in terms of how, because there's an actual grant process, and this was just one that applied for the grant, and their specific strategy was to work, I believe, with Twitter and the back rooms of Twitter, and get it so, you know how they have those community context things, like if somebody does a tweet and then people
community
notes is what you're talking
community
about.
notes. Yeah, I mean, and that seems to be more democratic than what they were proposing. I don't know.
Well,
if
yeah,
this is
because
still...
anybody can participate, and you're going to get less.
The community
you're
thought
less
you
likely to
should
find
know.
people twisting it. It's kind of like what Wikipedia started off as.
Yeah. So, but what they wanted to do, what these individuals wanted to do, is target Twitter accounts like Karen's and Honey Badger Bite, and have something like that pointing people or pointing men to resources that they approve of, essentially.
Yeah.
So it would. I don't know.
It's not an organic community thing. It's like a targeted effort.
And I don't know if they were just going to do like have people do that manually, or if they were going to work with Twitter to make that, or
behind the scenes,
or if it is actually something that did happen. You don't know, because we're just looking at the paperwork, the paper trail of this. I mean, it may just be that 700,000 U.S. taxpayer dollars went to this university, and they did what would it be called? Fuck and all with it.
Yeah.
So it's just pork. Maybe they put it into, like, I don't know, buying new rhododendrons for their atrium or something. Who knows?
Rhododendrons.
Yeah. No, or whatever plant you like. What's an atrium plant? I don't know. I'm not really big on my atrium plants. It's
ferns. Ferns
okay,
are
ferns.
always
Okay,
good.
so they bought like $700,000 worth of ferns for their atrium instead of actually implementing this. Which
ferns are really good at cleaning the air and also producing oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
So and they're excellent volunteer plants in your yard.
Did you find anything, Brian?
I got the video up. I'm asking if you guys want to watch the video.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
All right, well then join my thing, and I'm gonna start when you're ready. I'm gonna hit play. BX put
Oh,
this
so
through,
I was
and
the
she
fly
said,
in the
"Here's a
ointment
video
all
where they
along."
discuss their project or whatever." Are you in there?
I'm in.
All
I'm
right,
in.
I'm hitting play then. I don't know what this is gonna have. I never seen this.
Like that. So that's kind of the focus. We'd love to talk to executives as well.
And with that comment, Thomas had the final word. I would like to thank the entire Peace Coalition team for your important peace-building campaign, very contemporary and well thought out answers to the judges' questions. So as we now transition from our first presentation to the second, I'd like to ask the Howard University team and all our judges to please turn off your videos and microphones as we queue up the video from our next team from the Middlebury Institute of International Studies.
I think this is
The
it.
misogyny to violent extremism pipeline,
Ooh.
in combination with dangerous algorithms, have led to an alarming increase in targeted violence and self-harm. Incel ideology, which stands for involuntary celibate, is a mentality focused on sexist beliefs, self-deprecation, and at its worst, encourages violence. Today, social media platforms have two choices when it comes to dealing with malicious content: remove or keep. We are proposing a third choice that addresses the threat while safeguarding free speech.
Oh, not really.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, just
basically
well,
what I think it
okay,
does is
if-
it. Go
if they
ahead.
leave it up, if they leave it up and provide a counter argument or a counter message, like it's hard to be mad at that. Like that is actually how things should work. But
But
it
that's
should
not what
not-
they're doing. They're asking social media
it
companies
should not
to
it should not
redirect content away
Yeah.
from our
yeah
place and to their place.
it should not be something that is like done
Yeah, they're
on an
corralling people.
institutional
basically.
level. Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
and the reason, because if they like put their ideas out there and then our ideas were out there and they just let them stand on their own merit, they
Oh,
would
yeah.
probably lose. So they
Well-
have to make sure that they can't make it look obvious by censoring us, because that's been proven not to work. Hi, Alex. Welcome back to Twitter. So
Yeah.
instead, they got to redirect. They got to massage people in the right direction.
Well, how many people have I blocked on Twitter?
I don't block anybody. I don't know.
Like none.
Yeah.
I
none.
have blocked a couple people.
I'll mute some people who are just like really ridiculous, but even during the whole Medicare freaking fiasco, I didn't block anyone. Well, maybe I blocked a couple of those guys, but it was like, like you have an argument, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So you just keep reiterating your argument and you keep watching them throw themselves at the impenetrable wall of your argument.
But in some cases, like one of the people I blocked actually attempted to, okay, so they attempted to do what happened to me at the Calgary Expo, except to a convention that I had actually organized. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to give you credibility by being able to retweet my tweets if what you're going to do is target my business.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm done. If you're going to engage in something that's functionally illegal, then I don't want to have you have access to my timeline.
Sure.
And then there's this other individual who's a freaking stalker to the point where there have been other Twitter users that have reported her to the police, and she is insane and obsessed to a scary degree. So I've also blocked her. But
yeah, no, I mean, I get it. I totally get it. But in terms of messaging and stuff, it's
Yeah.
like, in terms of just general opinions being posted by people, I don't, or people disagreeing with me on opinion, right? I don't block them. They often block me, right? Usually after I've proved them wrong or shown them up in some way, right? Like there was that world famous immunologist who, got into it with me for almost a week on Twitter. And then I finally, and he would never come back with anything other than, you're not even a doctor, let alone an immunologist. You have no right to talk about this. You don't even know the difference between a class 1 and a class 2 antigen, right? So you have no right to even speak on the topic, right? So I finally just asked him 3 very simple questions, right? He's like, your blog post is garbage. I don't even need to look at it to know that. So I said, okay, well, just answer me these 3 questions. Very simple, yes, basic questions that could be answered in 1 or 2 words each. And he did, and I was right, and he blocked me. He answered them, and then he blocked me.
Well,
Want me to play some more?
yeah, because he didn't want to have you respond to him. He didn't want to.
He waited until after I thanked him for proving me right. At least the first portion of my blog post. Thank you for confirming that the first portion of my blog post was absolutely correct and accurate. And then he blocked me.
Okay. But we should probably get back to this. Yes, I know we need to. I mean, it could be worse. They could just be removing stuff.
Yeah.
However, I also think it's a complete and utter irresponsible waste to use taxpayer money to be doing this.
Oh yeah, to be policing any kind of speech.
And they are
the
distorting
government wasting our money.
the people
is
they're
unheard
targeting.
of.
They're distorting the message of the people they're targeting. Like, honestly, if we applied the logic that they're using to incels to women or feminists, then we could use Valerie Salinas to call feminism terrorism.
Yep.
And we could use, I don't know, Lucy Letby, I think it was Lucy Letby, to call all women a danger to children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not logic. This is not sane logic that they're using. And not just that. They are applying that kind of logic to incels. Well, they apply it to men. Let's not even talk about incels. Let's talk about men. They apply that logic to men.
Yep.
They will attribute the power of the top 1% to all men and the motives of the bottom 1% of criminal men to all men. This is what feminism does. It attributes the power of the top 1% of men to all men. Not even the top 1% of men, like the top 1% of 1% of men to all men. Their power is what all men have, and the motives of the most criminal men to all men. So it's like not what 99.9% of men are like. Okay.
Yeah.
They take the power of that top 1% of 1%, and then they take the most depraved serial killers and rapists and say that's what men want to do with their power. It's sick.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like it's you can't even call it the apex fallacy anymore because it's like an apex / nadir fallacy.
What would be
apex versus Enoch?
Well, explain where you're going with that. I'm curious.
Like, no, it's not just the apex fallacy where you look at the top, right, and say that is all men. You're looking at the very top and the very bottom. So the apogee and the nadir. The very
top of power, the very bottom of morality. And then you're defining all men by that.
Yeah.
So you're saying all men have this level of power and this is what they do with it. Even though the men that you're saying, well, this is the majority morality of men is based on serial killers and rapists. And
who all happen to be in Congress.
Yeah. Serial killers and rapists, and that's the morality. That's how men define their morality. Okay, that's how feminism defines men's morality. At the same time as they all have the power of the top 1% of 1%. Yeah, so it would need a different. It's more than the apex fallacy. It's like you said, it's the apex plus most criminal elements of the group. And this is actually war propaganda. Like, literally, feminism is war propaganda directed against men. Right? This is every single identity-based conspiracy theory that's the same map, and feminism does that against men. There's no excuse for this. There's absolutely no excuse for this. It's absolutely foul. All right.
Okay, so I got another super chow, so I gotta
Sure.
read out the super chow from Richard Bier, who gave us some support, I think. So I will give him a John Cena for that.
And his name is John Cena!
And he says for $5, option 3 is report offensive posters to the government and have them placed on a watch list or the no-fly list. Well, that's if the other things are not doable, but yeah. I think that they're learning that when you just censor people, it actually draws more attention to them now, especially now that there are more people willing to stand up for the people who have been censored. So they're like, okay, wait, if we just try to throw our enemies in jail or hurl accusations, there are people who will come forward and defend them. But how about instead we just try to, redirect the cattle to where we want them to be, to our, little enclosure instead of where they currently are. So that's kind of what I think is happening.
Yeah,
but the
no,
only
they
problem
are
is-
trying to herd people.
Yeah, they're
The only
hurting. They're
problem
trying to
is that-
herd people, especially men in particular. They're trying to herd
Okay, the only
men
problem
away
with all
from red
this-
pill content.
The only problem with all this is that they're wrong. I mean, they got the causality mixed up.
Mhm.
Of course,
Men
yeah, sure.
don't become red-pilled. I'm just going to use that. I use it semi-ironically at this point, but they don't become red-pilled because of red-pilled content. They
No.
become red-pilled because of feminist content.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
no, they.
you have to
and life
redirecting them
experience.
and well, yes. I
Yeah,
mean,
they have-
honestly, you have no feminists have absolutely nowhere to stand on this.
Do you
No,
guys?
they
For
don't.
the past couple generations, you have inflicted a propaganda campaign, a wartime propaganda campaign against men, and now we are reaping the results. Okay,
Did
and
you
then
guys?
Mhm.
go ahead.
Did you guys hear the latest about Destiny?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good lord, what
I
happened?
mean, I'm not laughing. It's tragic. It is, seriously. But yes, I did hear about it.
Okay,
I did
so
a live
Destiny
stream
had.
about Destiny and Hunter Avalon on my personal
Des-
channel.
Oh, there you go. Destiny had an open relationship with his wife Melina. Okay, and he's worth a lot of money, right? Like he has a good income from his streams and stuff, right? So, but he had an open relationship with her, and he spent a year, 2, 3 years defending it everywhere.
Yep.
Right? Oh yeah, no. You can say the same thing. You say she's going to leave me. You say it's going to ruin the relationship, right? Well, you could say the same thing about men and cheating, right? You could say the same thing about men and them stepping out on their wives and stuff, right? He didn't realize, and most people who aren't red pilled don't realize that men and women step out for totally different reasons, right? Sexually. And that's why women get more upset if a man emotionally cheats, and men get more upset when a woman sexually cheats. So a man can say to his wife, it didn't mean anything, right? And she's more likely to forgive him. But if a woman says to her husband, it didn't mean anything, he's going to be even more mad because you stepped out on me for something that didn't even mean anything. Right? Okay. And these are instinctive things based on reproductive potentials, evolutionary psychology, sex differences, right? In psychology. And so men and women go into open relationships for totally different reasons. Right? If the woman suggests, if she's the one who proposes that the relationship be open, right? You can pretty much bank that she's shopping for better offers. She's
Yep.
living comfortably while she's
Yep.
with you. Then she's going to take half and go with the guy who tickles her cunt flaps better.
Yep. All right.
So and he's getting a divorce. Isn't that surprising? He's getting a divorce, and she's going to take half his shit.
Mm-hmm.
And
she's going to get that. She's going to get the green card because she was like, immigrated here to be with him. So she's basically set now, and now she can just fuck whoever, right? So, but look, well, maybe not the green card. I think she's in Sweden again, but I don't know. She didn't marry him.
She's in Sweden with the new man.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
who apparently is abusive too, according to Destiny.
Oh, according to
Destiny,
take with a grain of salt.
But I mean,
according to Destiny, he's abusive. Not necessarily according to her.
Right.
Yeah. Also, he did say you got to make a choice, and so interestingly enough, the woman went with the guy who made her make a choice, who treated himself with some value, regardless of the specific circumstances. But so, is there anything new in regards to Destiny? We figured all this.
Well, this is just the first today. This morning was the first I'd heard of it, and I was just like, well, yeah, I've seen this happen over and over again. I've seen it happen over and over again. When a woman wants the relationship to be open, the man, the not wise man, right, the naive man will say, well, that's great, because then I can step out and it's not going to hurt the relationship. It's not going to end the relationship. I'm not going to lose her if I cheat, right? Okay. And he will stay, and he often will stay with that one woman forever, right? The woman is just looking at it as an opportunity to trade up.
Yep.
So if she suggests it, that's like a huge red flag. And even if he suggests it, if she takes the opportunity, also a huge red flag. Right, she's looking to do the monkey branch thing. The monkey never lets go of the one branch until it has the next branch in its hand. And that's all she's trying to do.
It looks like that's what she did.
It is. It's exactly
I imagine the new guy isn't quite as rich. All he has is self-value. That's what it's looking like.
Might not be as rich, probably better looking, and probably has more self-respect. Yes.
Well,
enough self-respect to say you have to make a choice. Because
I don't know. He was wearing a dress. He was pretty feminine. But look, we should play more of. I don't know the story of that guy. All I know is, if you're a male feminist and you enter a relationship thinking that you can just be this, like, I guess, unconcerned with your own boundaries and limitations, you should think twice before you put yourself in that situation. As a man, you should have some more self-respect and basically be like, look, everyone's going to tell me that open relationships are modern and progressive, and that if I don't do it, that I'm somehow a retrograde, toxically masculine, easily triggered, sensitive male with fragile masculinity. No, just say, you know what, I'm not comfortable with that, and then move on. Just establish your boundaries.
Not just establish your boundaries. Like, make a declaration.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to share you. I love you. I want you. I want all of you. I don't want to share you. Not in that way. Right? I'll share you with your parents. I'll share you with your siblings. I'll share you with your nieces and nephews. I'll share you with our kids. Right? But I don't want to share you in that way. Right? I love you so much. Right? That I want you all to myself in that way. Right? That is the most flattering thing you could ever tell a woman.
If she deserves it. But let's play more of the video, because we're just getting started here, so.
Even if she doesn't deserve it, it'll flatter her.
We provide alternative paths to hateful rabbit holes. Rather than simply deleting the content and fueling the fury of bad actors, we choose to present the option to view the content or to explore healthier options. We do this through thoughtful user design. Beyond this celibate,
Wait, I want to read something in her example really quick because I thought it was kind of funny.
and at its worst, encourages violence.
Wait. Can we look at the
Today-
example?
Yeah,
just go back-
That's what he's
I'm trying to
doing.
do.
Social media
Because I think I saw
platforms
something
have
very
two choices
suspicious.
when it comes to dealing with malicious content: remove or keep. We are proposing a third choice that addresses the threat while safeguarding free speech. With diverting hate, we provide alternative paths to hateful rabbit holes. Rather than simply deleting the content.
So here, okay, so this phone, it says, UXR UX, you can only bring one item to a remote island to assist your research of native use of tools and usability. What do you bring? And then there's Certified Toxic Boy at Shadea Night. It says, some are all, so this tweet has been, I guess, hidden.
Wait, that is censored.
Well, no, but they're going to show.
You can still view it.
She's
You
giving
can
the
still
example, and you
But
can
it's
view it.
behind a click. Like this is a way of censoring.
Yeah,
Yes.
You're not getting rid of it, but it's still censored.
Yeah.
but let's.
And then
look,
it's still censored based on a moral system in which they feel free to level a wartime propaganda at men. This is what's infuriating. Okay,
yeah, but what
continue.
I think what she's doing is she's taking this and she's saying instead of doing this is an example of what not to do. She's going to demonstrate something else.
And fueling the fury of bad actors, we choose to present the option to view the content or to explore health.
So she's saying view the content. Okay. And it says,
that's the thing. That's the difference. They're allowing you to view the content, but it's still hidden.
right.
Initially.
So the tweet says, Certified Toxic Boy, the sheep think the red pill is about women. It is much more than that. Women are a mere fraction. It's about unlearning everything: politics, religion, economics, science, entertainment. True red pillars see the world for what it really is. Okay, I just want to know what it said that she thought was so offensive.
They're really pushing this institution. Like, what's really interesting is that this is the way that this tweet is, and what they think is toxic, is basically people questioning the status quo.
Yep.
And it really does speak to this whole idea.
And then the institution comes in.
Patriarchy.
Then the institution comes in and says, "Oh, well, you can't see that without expending extra effort."
Yes. Yeah.
And this is our compromise.
Yeah.
Right? This is how we don't violate free speech. We just we just make it harder to listen to people.
Yes.
Who say things that the institutions don't like. Right?
Yeah.
When they're complaining about the institutions.
Yep.
Jim Bottle, if you're not listening, the people who are proposing this is this college, but they are being funded by the Department of Homeland Security. So this is not small. And the colleges are informed and educated and staffed by these same people. So it's not like, oh my God, here's this fringe group way over here that wants to control like this government. No, they're totally in bed with each other. They're totally doing this. They're absolutely aware of what they're doing. They know what it is, and they're terrified of people having free speech that are saying something that they find dangerous. This is why they're doing this.
And this is what they find dangerous.
Who are informed, they are essentially armed with information that they can use. They are a danger to these people because they won't be their slaves.
That what they are finding threatening is simply questioning the establishment and what the establishment says is true. That's it.
Yep.
This is just an establishment defending itself. There's no mystery to it.
Yeah.
And feminists
power preserving itself, yeah.
Feminists are a big part of how the establishment defends itself and justifies itself. Okay.
Well, what better human shields than women, right?
Yeah, or women's benefit or supposed benefit. Oh, I should probably do a shout out because Richard Bier did give us $100. Thank you, Richard. Yeah,
Nice.
he earlier.
you. Come
Very
again.
nice. And again, if you would like to join Richard in helping us out this month, it's feedthebadger.com/support. He did that because a while back, like last month, I was like, oh, let's crack this thing. Like, put something in there, please. And he did. So I think he just replicated what he did last month. So big thanks to you, Richard. And again, feedthebadger.com/support and feedthebadger.com/justtip if you want to send us a message. Send those messages through. Like, so we can have a conversation
All
of
right.
sorts. All right.
I'll play a little bit more. I got another super chow, but I'm gonna look at it later.
Options. We do this through thoughtful user design. Beyond this experience within a social platform like Twitter, we have also built a resource hub, divertinghate.org. We utilize effective digital marketing to intersect hateful narratives and provide outlets and tools to build resiliency. Our original database and network analysis allow us to effectively meet our audience where they are by using identified key terms, profiles, locations, and languages. Altogether, we've created a one-of-its-kind approach to diverting at-risk men away from hate.
They are going all fucking out to do something about this. Isn't that crazy?
Isn't it interesting? I'm pretty sure I missed a bit of it, but I'm pretty sure I saw the last bit with the at-risk men. They mean at risk. They don't mean at risk as suicide. They don't give a fuck about that. They mean at risk for being
Lashing out.
Questioning
Lashing out,
no, not even that,
questioning.
Karen. Just questioning the status quo. That's what really concerns them. They have no interest in helping men. They have
Of
no
course not.
care for men. They just want to make sure that men do and think the way they want them to. That's it.
Yeah, they're maintaining their own. They're maintaining the status quo. We're the ones that are going against it.
Well, the issue is that when you look at men who actually kill or lash out violently for ideological reasons, or because they're in pain, a lot of that pain is, number one, it's deeply personal, and they aren't actually red-pilled. They're blue-pilled. They don't understand why all of this horrible stuff is happening to them.
Yeah.
Right? When you explain why, often they calm down. Okay? Like, here's why. They calm down. They don't lash out blindly at just anybody because they realize that it's not everybody's fault. It's not the whole world out to get them. It's these people and those people and those people over there, right? Like all the number of messages I got when I started out, and for probably the first 5-6 years, right, that said I was on my way to hating women until I saw your videos, and then I realized why this was happening.
Yeah.
So I talked them out of hating women. Yeah, I've had that too.
And so,
my
I mean,
approach
like,
is different than yours as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I generally I go by the evolutionary psychology approach and the legal approach, right? So it's like, it's the law and it's our instincts, and this is just how it is, and this is why, and it's nobody's fault. Okay, it's really nobody's fault. It's just the confluence of everything that brought us to this point, like from the first cyanobacteria that divided in the primordial ooze in what is now Australia, right? From that moment, we were kind of destined to be this retarded, okay? And that's just how it is. We are just this retarded about gender, right? And it's not about you. It's nothing personal, okay? It's not that everybody hates you personally. It's just an is, okay? It's just an is, and you have to figure out a way to navigate through that. And they're like, okay, you haven't given me a solution to the problem. You haven't fixed the problem for me, but you've actually let me know what the landmines are in that minefield so I can try and like navigate my way around them instead of stepping on one. Right? And now I feel like I feel better. I feel less angry. And like, this is what they're trying to prevent. They're trying to prevent men from being able to say, okay, now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
And okay, it's not great. I'm not super pumped about it, but I can at least deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I can at least figure out a way to go about my life, right? Find some happiness.
Yep. All right, I want to play some. Well, go ahead.
They want these men to just keep lashing out and keep killing themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Do.
And unfortunately for them, the number of men who lash inward rather than out is like what, 100 to 1 or more?
What would be the goal of demonizing men, and more than that, demonizing masculinity itself, to the point where more and more men are driven to suicide, they're driven to self-destruction, or they're driven to identify and try to live as women because they would do anything to escape their masculine curse. And at the same time, you would also try to convince women that they deserve a man that is beyond their reach, no matter what they look like, no matter what they've accomplished, no matter like, you know, how shitty a person they act. They're allowed to do it because they are women. They should wait until they're 30, 40 to have children. And if they don't, it's okay. What is the goal of that if it is not eugenics? It is eugenics. They are practicing eugenics. They have conditioned our entire civilization, our whole species, to essentially destroy itself. And they have pandered to women to the point where they don't feel like that their life as a woman, their biology, is as important as their desires in the moment, and that men are just demons. Like, this is what it's doing. And of course, the people who are doing this,
what it's doing, but
and the people who are doing this, they are having kids. They have families. They are married. They are in relationships. They have their resources. They are literally, and these are the same people, by the way, that will claim that we're overpopulated, that the earth is being destroyed by too many people. They are practicing eugenics. They are doing it with propaganda. This is literally happening. Change my mind. That is literally what they're doing.
I'm just saying this isn't eugenics, because eugenics is actually a form of selective breeding, right? Where
they're making women be selective, and they're making men not good enough.
Yeah, well, but
they're also making men infertile, and they're using birth control, and they're using SSRIs and all this other shit. It's all coming together. But
what this trend is right now is that it's all of the people who are, and this is why I never bought the argument that, you know, the whole vaccine thing, right, with COVID was about it was like some kind of scheme to reduce the population, because the only people who would be, if that was what it was, the only people who would be left, right, are the recalcitrant, the ones who refuse to comply, the ones who say, fuck no, and you don't get to tell me what to do, right? And that is kind of what's happening here with this. Like, I don't think that if they want to breed a whole bunch of Genghis Khans who are going to overthrow them in their freaking Bilderberg hotel at their next conference, right? Then that's what they're doing. But I don't think that's actually what they want. They would actually love for everybody who is non-compliant, everybody who refuses to comply, to stop reproducing. But we won't, because we're non-compliant. We won't stop doing what we're doing. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, you can go fuck yourself. Okay? Be ungovernable. Right?
In your
so
pants.
they're basically eliminating the sheep and leaving only the wolves. If this is what their goal is.
Yeah, you got a point there. But let's watch a little bit more. Let's watch a little bit more. Let's get back
Okay.
onto
All right,
it.
let's get back to the video.
When presented with potentially malicious narratives, our tool and
Malicious.
initiative
To who?
drive our audience towards brighter paths.
God damn. Like
Brighter
I can't get over the fact that this is within a context that literally applies the worst malicious thinking when it comes to men. Ascribing to men the power of the top, like 1% of 1% and the motives of the bottom-most criminal. And the worst, not even just like the basic, robbery or purse snatcher or any of that. No, feminists go to the worst of the worst. The kind of criminals even other criminals don't like.
Like the Ted Bundys. Yeah,
they go to the worst of the worst. The kind of criminals that other criminals will go out of their way to kill.
Yeah, in prison. Shiv them in fucking prison. Yeah.
And the feminists go to those men. They walk past all of the tradesmen. They walk past all of the the management that are just doing their job. All these men, they walk past all the firefighters, all the good policemen. They walk past all of the men who rescue the
first responders.
The first responders. They walk past all the soldiers that protect them, and they walk into the prison. They walk past all the more normal, not normal, but less insane prisoners.
The guys who were like, they shoplifted or they were using drugs or maybe they cheated on their taxes,
or they robbed. Or they didn't even rob. There was like a burglary or whatever. All of the criminals who aren't considered by our society to be so extreme. The feminists walk past all those men. They walk past and they go into protective custody. And these are the criminals who are in protective custody because everybody wants to kill them because they're the most morally marginal of all men in society. Even the morally marginal men consider them morally marginal. Marks into there and says, these men right here, this 1% of 1% of the most disturbingly criminal men in the world, this is what motivates all men. And this attitude is the attitude that these people are the ones who are saying, oh, look at these narratives of hate. Like they would say what I am saying is a narrative of hate, which is simply saying, hey, don't do that. That's not fair. That's not fair to men.
Oh, who was it? Was it Catherine McKinnon or Sheila Jeffries who said that men basically they rape their women, they rape their children, right? They abuse their women, they abuse their children. Not all men need to do this, right? In order to keep all women suppressed, okay? But enough of them do that it keeps all women suppressed, right? And it's like, okay, enough of them do that, like, okay, percentages, like, can you give me a percentage? Because, like, I'm just thinking that feminists have, like, a really skewed vision of what the average man does. Like that whole giant center of the bell curve, right?
A
very big group of people there who don't do those things. They don't abuse. They don't rape. They don't rape.
It's just below the center to the very top. Because if you think about it, it's a moral bell curve. Then the men at the very top are like, Jesus and Gandhi.
Well, no, but they aren't. Well, I mean, Gandhi, they should be in terms of a moral bell curve.
Maybe the Buddha, though.
The Buddha, yeah, like the.
Well, the Buddha did leave his wife and son.
He did.
Well, not his son,
take
though.
care
That
of them.
Sucks.
He abandoned them.
No, well, but he did return and give he apparently gave his son a position within the work he was doing. So and the other thing is that it's a time period where if you were part of the aristocratic class as a man, you'd probably be quite commonly abandoning your kids to go do war. So
Yeah.
it's more like it's difficult to judge him by our morals.
True.
Anyway.
But regardless, my overall point is that if you're looking at like a moral distribution, you'd just be the tail, one tail. Feminists look at one tiny tail and they say that this represents all men. And then they say, well, it represents all men because other men benefit from women living in fear of Ted Bundy. Well, I don't see how men benefit from that, considering that whole framework is how women justify a lot of abuse against the men in their lives. Have you noticed?
Well, and it also justifies women like just basically
having social and political
avoiding men,
and also legal power over men. So all of this framing men as the worst of them justifies all kinds of overreach when it comes to women's power over men. So I don't see how that really has benefited men. But and this is the other thing I was thinking about, because I was watching all of these conservative tweets, and I'm probably going to offend some people, but they're talking about this. Essentially, somehow they've started to blame transgenderism on gay men, and I'm like looking at this and I'm thinking, well, all right, if you're a conservative, it doesn't work. Believe me, the leaps are ridiculous. And they're also blaming surrogacy on gay men dehumanizing women. I'm pretty sure there are also straight couples that use surrogates, but let's set that aside. How is surrogacy paying a woman for the use of her womb any different than welfare? Except that at the end, the child goes to two parents, instead of a single mom. So but regardless, I mean, it's like you're going to call out surrogacy and then just be completely silent on the issue of female-driven single motherhood.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, let's not blame men here. The majority of single motherhood is driven by women. They may blame the men in their lives, but it was their choices that led to it. And conservatives won't touch that. No, instead they'll blame gay men in surrogacy dehumanizing women. This is what I'm seeing. And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the conservative women, and this is a question that I have. I'm going to pose it here for conservative women. How do you, I don't want to say submit, how do you trust your male partner, your husband's morality? How do you trust him to lead you morally if you regard him as your moral inferior?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the challenge I'm going to put out there for conservative women. You talk about how your man is the head, is the moral head, your moral head, and yet you embrace all of this trash about men and their morality. Okay, I'm just putting it out there. Their morality when it comes to sexuality, their morality when it comes to abuse, their morality when it comes to parenthood, their morality somehow, men are somehow responsible for female surrogacy, right? And also single motherhood. Is there anything that any corruption, moral corruption that you don't blame on men? And then you turn around and say, yes, a man is my moral head. Really?
Yeah.
It sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. Anyway, but that was just one thing I wanted to say. I'm a little bit off topic, I think.
All right, I got a bunch of super chows I really should read through because they're going to disappear.
Yep.
Okay. So, Great Indoors gives us $10 on Super Chow and says, and I'm not going to respond to this because it'll take too long, but I may talk about it later. Regarding Hunter Avalone, have you seen the response by Salty Cracker and The Quartering? I don't really watch them. They claim Hunter hid behind his girlfriend and used her as a shield. I have no idea where they got their evidence from, as I haven't seen footage that would prove this. It's also been claimed Hunter supports defunding the police, which I think is true. Let me see. While Cracker was showing a tweet in his video in which Hunter explicitly says he does not support defunding the police, I guess your girlfriend decides by her own free will to protect her significant other. People will deny a woman split-second decision making and automatically make the guy out to be a coward. All right, I'm not going to respond to that. It'll take too long. But thank you for the super challenge nonetheless. And I don't watch Salty Cracker. I've seen a couple times, but I don't know, he's just really certain about how hilarious it is, and it doesn't really make me laugh. And I'm just tired of the coffee peddler. I don't really watch the quartering at all.
Briefly to that? You're absolutely right. Well, I want to respond briefly to that. Yes, it is actually taking away the courage of his girlfriend. If that's what happened, like if his girlfriend was just like split second, put herself in front of him, how is he supposed to stop that, first of all? And second of all, when you reframe it as something that he did or didn't do, you're actually removing the courage of her convictions and her as an individual and her choices to be brave in the face of potential harm to someone that she loves. Why would you do that? We're not going to go forward into a world worth having if you continue to do shit like this. That's to everybody. Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's what I was saying about conservatives. They're doing it the other way. No, women don't make moral choices because they can only be good. Well, women can't be courageous because it can only be about as the result of a man's cowardice. It's all the same thing. It's all the same. I would call it misogyny. From where I'm standing, everybody else is the misogynist. I'm just putting that out there. All of y'all, you're all misogynists. Okay, I'll be quiet now.
I got a super chow from Richard B. Air for $5, and he says, with all the data points being collected, the diversion might include a visit at one's residence by at least 2 people in dark suits who are wearing a certain type of earpiece. I mean, I think that could be an inevitability, but thank you, Richard. And then he gives another $5 and says, the box wine industry depends on feminism. Also, should Karen be deployed to talk to the manager of the Department of Homeland Security? Additional, what is the possibility of HBR streaming in the style of the new Twitch meta that could possibly gain more viewers and subscribers? Please don't be gross. The new Twitch meta is women that are basically naked on Twitch, but not naked. About as naked as they can get, because women are totally innocent and never push the boundaries of the rules of any sort of website to get attention. That never happens.
Yeah, so. No, that's not going to happen, Richard.
No. Okay, let's get back to the video.
You won't get to see Brian's booty at any time.
I don't no, I am not a toy to be viewed in that way. I'm sorry. Okay, let's continue.
Thank you for joining our presentation on diverting hate. Our team comprised of 13 graduate students. We are a global, multilingual group of future policymakers at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies in Monterey.
Sounds like Ubisoft.
Future policymakers here, guys.
Yeah, that's exactly. I know this is made by like a college group, but like the government is using them. I mean, the government basically educated them. What do you think the colleges are? You think that because they say that they're like private institutions on paper, that they're not in any way tied to the state or to big tech corporations? I mean,
as humanitarians, we are passionate about building a safer world. Through our shared experiences, we landed on a project that would build resiliency for an at-risk population of young men in online spaces who are vulnerable to dangerous misogyny.
With us.
What?
I said at risk for disagreeing with us.
Yeah, that's what a risk is.
Extremist rabbit holes.
Diverting hate targets vulnerable young men aged 18 to 34 who are engaging with incel content online. Incel ideology has no cohesive organizational structure. As such, our target audience is highly varied across different locations, ethnicities, religions, cultures, socioeconomic backgrounds, and occupations, but they do share a similar set of beliefs and behaviors online.
All right, I just want to point out that when they say incel content, but they mean just like men who question. They don't mean incels. I mean, I'm just making sure you know, because some people are going to feel, like a desire to be like, wait a minute, an incel is actually this. These people don't care. They're targeting men, any men who are basically like, I'm, I have questions. Something's wrong. I'm confused. That multi-million-dollar millionaire guy who was getting sued by his ex-fiance because she wanted half of his shit, and he was basically like she threw some false allegations after. Yeah, that guy who's like, how did this happen? He's an incel, according to this. So stop. If you feel the need to come out and say, actually, incels are different, no, that's not what they mean. Stop it.
Yeah.
We're just talking about any man. Johnny Depp is an incel, according to these people. This is what I'm talking about. Any man who has questions about this, who has been in this part of the internet, that's curious about these issues, that's who they're talking about. They use the word incel. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, I mean, the thing is that it's incel and incel adjacent, which like this is a Venn diagram, okay?
Any man who's not a male feminist
is basically all men.
Yeah, it's all men. Any man who's not the guy in this video. Any man who isn't towing the line. And this guy who is right here in this video talking about this, he could easily join those incels. Easily. If he just has one bad relationship and is like, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to stop dating women for a while.
Or one disagreement.
Or one disagreement. Exactly. The word incel is meaningless. That's what I'm saying. They're using it. It's their categorization. Thomas Sowell wrote about this in 1995. I'll talk about it on a show on my channel like sometime this week. But anyway, let's keep going.
In particular, diverting hate seeks young men with one or more risk factors, including social isolation, low self-esteem, and aggrieved entitlement. As our target audience engages with this misogynistic and sometimes violent content, they are
What's aggrieved entitlement?
No, that means like you think that you're owed something, and you're pissed off because you didn't get it.
Okay, here's the thing. What did feminists say generations ago when they were said, oh, we're going to take over, or we're going to give us access to your jobs, man? What did they say? They said, and then we can love you like companions. We no longer have to love you for your money. We're going to love you as our companions.
Yeah, no. Aggrieved entitlement is like they promised us a bunch of shit. And
they promised us a bunch of shit.
We fulfilled our part of the bargain, and now they're reneging. Yeah. That's aggrieved entitlement.
And it's not even most incels absolutely pedestalize women. So we're talking about a fringe of a fringe once again. But that fringe has put two and two together. Wait, feminists said that women would have access to men's jobs, the things that made men attractive to women. They're going to get access to the peacock feathers, but that means that they're going to love us for more than our peacock feathers. They're going to love us for the bird inside the feathers. And then they find out
inside.
Then they find out, nope, you still have to make more money. It's just that now you have to make more money than the average man, because the average man doesn't make enough. So women's desires in men did not change. And this is one of the things that in Twitter I get a lot of fights about, because the women do not want to acknowledge this about themselves. So they want to do it in their profiles, and they want to make sure that men embody it before they're interested in them. But they won't come out and say, yes, money is critically important.
I don't understand why that's such a taboo thing. Like, in terms of, like, okay, so for someone like me, I'm in my 50s, I'm done having kids, my kids are all independent, they're all moved out and everything, right? Like, what do I need money for? Right? But for a woman who's like looking to start a family, of course you're going to want
none of these women really want to have children. And the thing is that
of course you're going to want a man who can support you while you're stuck at home when your kids are small.
Okay, that be it as it may, most of these women aren't even going to be having children. But regardless, they said, "Oh no, we will no longer want you for your money. Well, that never changed. That never changed. If it had, there would be no population crisis. There would be no reduction in marriage. We would be, like if feminists had been 100% correct and they'd be like, oh yeah, women just want companions, nothing would, like, we would be fine.
Yeah.
But we would be fine. And I don't go in for this whole, but like the average man is a terrible companion. Really?
No.
Compared to the average woman?
Compared to the average woman, no. It's like I told Tommy Sotomayor the first time I was on his show, because he was like, oh, you say you're bisexual, but you're with a man. And I said, yeah. I like things straightforward. I like things straightforward. Being with a man is never having to hear, if you don't know what you did wrong, I'm certainly not going to tell you.
It also doesn't require maintenance as much.
Yeah. Well,
maintenance for men is like, okay. But I mean, if you enjoy
mine is high maintenance only because he has a health issue. But he also
provides quite a bit too, right?
Oh yeah. No,
okay, it's reciprocal.
We've got a fair trade going here.
Yeah,
and
it's reciprocal.
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at. Whereas with men, it's more reciprocal. Appreciation goes a long way.
Oh yeah,
like just expressing appreciation goes a long way with men.
Yeah,
with women, it goes. You can say, "Oh, I appreciate you," but if it doesn't come with something material, generally it's not considered to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, I keep seeing these ads in front of YouTube videos. Surprise your daughter, delight your wife this year, this Christmas, with this unique gift, right? And it's a necklace in a box that has a prefab, little letter, to my dearest daughter, to my dearest wife, right? You are a princess. You are blah, blah, blah. You are my queen, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, how is that unique if you're mass producing them? But it's like an expression of love and devotion shouldn't have to come with a material gift. Like, we're not even planning on putting anything on the tree this year. Like, there's no Christmas presents this year. And it's not because we aren't in the spirit of giving, or in the spirit of family and celebrating and all of that, because we're having Christmas dinner at my older son and daughter's house, where they'll cook the turkey, I'll cook the stuffing, my mom will prep the vegetables, right? And we will all bring something and we will all spend time together and have a great time, and it will be wonderful, and it will be delicious, because my older son is an excellent cook. My younger son is actually a pretty good cook too. But you look at it and it's like, nobody really needs those material things to feel valued, to feel loved, to feel accepted, to feel celebrated. You don't like, this is one thing that I just never had in common with women in general, was this idea that somebody needs to give me things to make me feel valued, like material things. I don't need that. I like the fact that my husband can provide for a comfortable life for both of us. That's great. But, like, he doesn't need to. When he tells me he loves me, I believe him. I don't need it to come with a frickin' check.
Yeah. But anyway, I think ultimately what they talk about, aggrieved entitlement, is actually... and the other thing is that there's this presentation that women are... In media, that women somehow... that romantic relationships are women selecting a man because apparently he's so awkward that it's cute, and making him a better person or something. You know, and I don't think that incels are necessarily entitled. First of all, again, we're talking about a fringe of a fringe because apparently most incels put women on pedestals, and it's actually men who have sex with a lot of women who are more misogynist, according to the feminist definition of misogyny. Which, you know, I don't think that should be surprising, honestly. But regardless, so the fringe of the incels might feel gypped because there was a lot of conversation about how women won't have to mate with men based on their need for material provision. It'll all be about companionship, and that didn't materialize at all, and that was entirely on women. The end. There's nowhere else to put it. You promised that men would get women who wanted companions, and that is not what happened. All right.
Should we play more of the video?
Sure. A little bit, yeah.
All right.
Radicalized digital spaces. Our aim is to offer more positive outlets to these men before they are at a stage of actively seeking violence. Peter will now describe our research tactics and how we decided on our course of action.
Well,
actively seeking violence?
Yeah, no, because there was two. Remember? Two.
Okay.
Did I fast forward to like some...
Elliot Rodger and Alec Manassian. They don't even
go with actively seeking self-destruction. No, it's just violence towards others.
Yeah.
Towards women.
But there was two that we know of. Right? Like you're much more likely to actually lose disaffected young men to other forms of radicalization than the red pill.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Like, how many young men ran away and joined ISIS from the UK and the US and Canada, right? Mm-hmm. How many young men were radicalized by ISIS to do that, and young women, to be sure. You know, like you're not seeing the radicalization of young men into the incel ideology that leads to anything remotely like that, right? And we're like number 4 after ISIS.
Yep.
According to the Department of Homeland Security, right? You got white supremacists, and then you got school board parents? I don't know. And then you've got anti-government people, and then you got ISIS, and then you got men's issues people, the manosphere, and then they're taking this tiny sliver of the manosphere, right? It is a growing sliver, right? But it's by far not like the entirety of the manosphere, the incels, right? And there's been like 2. One in Canada, one in the US. 2. In the last, 6 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and consider how many suicides, but the thing is that it's the violence, but not the suicides. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and it's not just like consider the suicides, it's consider the other acts of other groups, other radicalized groups. Right? Consider the activities of ISIS. Consider the activities of anti-government, like Antifa and other anti-governmental organizations, or I guess you can't call them organizations because they're not very organized, but groups. You look at those and you're seeing these are like highly promoted on social media. They're looked at as perfectly fine. They're a terror threat, but they have every right to organize and to disseminate their stuff and all of this, right? Like, why aren't they? They have every right to march in the streets with the communist flag, right? And scream, burn the whole system down, okay? And then set things on fire. And that's a fiery but mostly peaceful protest. BLM, right? Like all of these groups, right, that are clearly huger terror threats than Elliot Rodger and Alec Manassian.
Sure.
Like, I'm blown away. How do they see us as a threat?
The thing is, though, it only doesn't track if the goal of these people was to actually stop harm. It's not. The goal of these people is to stop men from questioning. Or if they're going to like go down a road, a rabbit hole, it has to be their carefully curated rabbit hole. It's nothing to do with reducing harm. Nothing to do with that. That's why they're all down with Black Lives Matter and Antifa and these other radical like feminist organizations. You know what? I don't even want to say radical. They're just feminist organizations. Like there was a commie Antifa guy that like he was threatening to assassinate Vivek Ramaswamy very recently. He was doing a talk somewhere and they had to cancel it because some guy was going to kill him and people who were in attendance.
Yeah.
So I mean, like this stuff, they don't care about that. They're not gonna. I mean, they haven't figured out how to blame men for that just yet. But like, if anything, they'll just leave it lie, and if it becomes too big, they'll say, "Oh, well, this is a male violence problem," and then they're just gonna shift the gears, and that's gonna become the new thing. When pretty sure he was just some crazy dude that wanted to kill the fascists because Van Jones made comments about fucking Vivek on CNN, and of course he never takes accountability for his words. But us over here trying to like say, hey, you know what's going on with relationships and men and women? Yeah, here's some information. Here's a little history. Here's a little some wisdom. And he's like, oh well, that can't happen. That guy might go off to hurt women someplace.
Well, it's okay. This is all about preserving the ideology.
Yeah,
let's face it.
That's what it is.
And the thing is that here's the big problem, right? The ideology is that men in power equals women oppressed. That's the ideology. And I've discussed this over and over and over again. It's not scientific because it's not even a conjecture because there has never been an explanation of how you falsify it. Feminists have never said, okay, this is how you would falsify this conjecture about reality. And incidentally, the way you would falsify it is by simply proving that men in power does not equal women oppressed. And what you mean by oppressed and what we generally mean by oppressed, the definition of oppressed is harm.
Yeah.
A exercise of power that causes unjust harm, right? So in order to prove that men in power equals women oppressed, you would have to look at the harms done to women. Not just the harms done to women, you would have to compare them to the harms done to men. Men empowered is irrelevant. You just have to look straight up at the situation of men and the situation of women, right? Which is experiencing greater harm, which is experiencing greater levels of sacrifice, which is experiencing greater levels of expectation and responsibility, which has better outcomes, which one lives longer lives. No, you don't look at anything, all the statistics about who's in power. You have to look at the statistics about the outcome.
Yeah.
And that is these statistics that they're showing right here. This is counter evidence to their ideology. So they have to treat these stats and the resultant problems that they represent like plutonium, right? They have to have caveat. They have to control the entire process of recognizing any of this stuff. And at a whim, they'll just stop because it's against their ideology. They put their ideology ahead of helping men.
Or they'll blame us for driving men to suicide.
Yeah, well, because what? Because we recognize the issues that men face, but they will take these issues and they will minimize them, and they will try to remove them, and the only reason why they even address them is because they are so manifest, and the fact that because we talk about them, they can't stop ignoring them, or they can't continue to ignore them. Because we talk about them, and the very act of talking about them is attracting people who experience them, men who experience them. Duh. Well, why wouldn't it, right? We talk about the issues that men face, and it attracts men to our work because they're facing those issues. Well, so they can't ignore them anymore. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to control them and contain them and direct them away from anyone who will say, well, wait a second. The ideology says women are oppressed, but look at all of these issues that men face. So is it fair to subject men to the verbal and psychological abuse of feminist allegation? It's not even conjecture because it hasn't even been, it's not even a scientific conjecture because it's never been stated how you falsify it. So is it fair to subject men to feminist allegation with all of this evidence that it is wrong?
Yeah.
Right? And then we're saying, well, this evidence countervenes feminist allegation, like on its face. Right? The 1 in 6 men, the 4 times more suicide. This contravenes feminist allegation against men. So men should not be subjected to this condemnation of their masculinity by feminists. And then we take it a step further. And furthermore, this condemnation itself is a men's issue. And then that's what gets us labeled. You see what I'm saying? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The fact that we say that, no, actually these men's issues exist, that means we need to reconsider the ideology about reality, that women are oppressed. That means we need to reconsider that. And furthermore, since we need to reconsider it, in fact, we should have done this in the first place, before it should have died in the crib. Basically, feminist is so anti-science, it should have died in the crib. But regardless, we need to reconsider this. And then, in reconsidering this, we need to ask ourselves, why are we inflicting harm on men based on something that has never been proven true? In fact, has never even occupied the space of any kind of scientific conjecture whatsoever. Something that has multiply been proven, even though it's been never proven true, multiply has tons of evidence that couldn't possibly be true. And we are subjecting. Yes, disconfirming. We are subjecting men, we are inflicting harm on men based on a fundamental lie. Right? And that's what they don't want men to hear. But at what point in all of this am I wrong?
Well, you're not wrong, Allison, and that's why they have to divert people away from you.
Exactly. Yep. But that should... You guys are... If any of these people who are doing this crap are listening to this now, you are wrong. And you are harming people. And you know what? I understand that nobody gives a crap about harming men. That's just standard operating procedure for every freaking civilization I've ever studied, to be honest. Some civilizations are a lot better at respecting the average man than others. But for the most part, men just are expected to sacrifice, make the big sacrifices for the existence of the civilizations they're part of. It's just the way it is, just the way it go. All right? But this is beyond that. This level of sacrifice and harm is just, and it's wrong. And the fact is that you are just like this. If you're listening and you're part of this, you're just a continuation of the same old, same old. a continuation of a society justifying to itself the sacrifice of its sons. And believe me, that ain't new. Anyway, let's continue, I guess.
All right, let's play some more.
Tactics were directed towards defining the problem. We saw repeatedly that early access to healthy, stable communities is essential to preventing people from seeking out and developing identity within violent extremist spheres. We also found that men are
You are
3.7
a
times
violent extremist view.
Yeah.
What's so fucking insane? How can you say this? Like right from the start, you take the most powerful men and you say all men have that power, and you take the most depraved men and you say this defines all men's motives and intent.
Yep.
Do you know what that sounds like?
Well, it sounds like a prelude to a genocide. It's not going to happen. Like, we're never going to genocide our own husbands, fathers, sons,
No,
and
we're just going to allow
brothers.
them to live in misery and kill themselves.
That's right. Yeah. So, but it's like I don't worry about men as like a totality, right? As a sex being shoved into ovens. I don't worry about that. I don't worry about Valerie Solanas' pipe dreams or Sally Miller Gerhardt or Mary Daly's agenda to bring the male population down to about 10% of the Earth's population. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Women just aren't going to cooperate when it comes to their particular men, right? Their protectors and providers, their paychecks, their ATMs, their freaking, significant others, whether those are their fathers or their brothers or their husbands or their sons, right? They're not going to do it. They're not going to. Gender side is not something that's ever going to happen. Feminists want it to happen, but it's not. It's not going to. At least not on any kind of industrial scale. But I do worry about this kind of rhetoric being targeted specifically at certain types of men. The white Christian man, the white Jewish man, the swarthy Muslim man. I worry about that, right? Because every single genocide overwhelmingly targets men and boys first. Yep. It eventually will graduate.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Often to targeting the women as well and the children, like the girls. But men and boys are the first wave. Always.
Yeah.
And that worries me. That worries me because the oppression narrative, the oppression coalition, right? And they act like it's a coalition. It's falling apart right now, right? With Israel and Palestine.
And trans versus TERFs.
Trans versus TERFs, right? All of these things. The oppression coalition is falling apart. It's splintering. It's balkanizing. And you are actually going to see some issues, because that's tribalism. That's not sexism. That's tribalism. You're going to see some tribalistic violence, and sexist violence pales in comparison to tribalistic violence. I'm sorry, it just does. Violence against the other, right? Violence against the other is a scary fucking thing.
And yet,
violence against women has never been violence against the other. Because women have never been the other.
Okay.
Our women are our women. It's only after you've killed off all the men and boys that you start on the women and girls of that other group.
tribalistic violence is only enabled by the habits that we have around men. Like if
Demonizing the other men.
demonizing the other men, but also
those men over there are not good.
also being willing to
we're
sacrifice.
the good men. They're the
also
bad
being
men.
willing to sacrifice our men
Yeah.
to destroy the other men. Those are emotional habits both ways. And I mean, they're probably also built on holy Jesus. Okay, but what I was going to say is that these people also don't care about women. Like if it's between women and ideology, they'll choose their ideology over women. Which in itself is why tribalist violence is so disturbing. Because when you put that ideology ahead of anyone, you can murder anyone, and that includes women. So, all right.
Yeah. No, and Borat also says, and stay out to the mailman.
Okay, let's see if we can get
The mailman would never have left if Borat hadn't been
This
here
is
on
basically
guard.
just sort of a rehash, I think, really, you know?
Yeah, they're doing it. We could have just gone through this originally. Actually, it's just a presentation, but I think it's a bit better because you get I guess a better.
You get the creepy. You get the creepy tone.
Okay, I mean, my ultimate point is this: they direct war propaganda against men, right? And then they turn around and say that people who are saying, "Well, we shouldn't do that," are the ones who are creating hate.
Yep.
Isn't that like crazy?
Yeah. No. I mean, it's
predictable. It's par for the course.
Yeah, it's predictable. All right, I got another super chow. Thank you. And it's from Richard Bier, and he says for $5, why do I get the feeling that the supportive community will be located at the end of a long train ride, which will be a one-way trip? And this is probably me with my tinfoil hat on, but I suspect that incel is code speak for straight white male. Look up that SJW DUI stop where the NB actually calls out the officer for being a white male. I mean, you ain't wrong. I mean, I think it is incel doesn't mean incel. It's just man who disagrees. That's all. And a woman who disagrees is a pick me. And if they could like somehow create a fear mongering narrative around pick me's, like if there's like a woman who does something that they could use, they would do it. But it just doesn't happen that way. So for now, it's just incel. And
and straight white male.
It just means man on the outside.
Straight white male is basically code for has penis.
Yeah.
Honestly, because
straight white male is just man with more steps.
Yeah, it's because honestly, it's every single male of any particular group, regardless how allegedly marginalized or realistically marginalized, is the straight white male of their group.
Yep.
Gay men are the straight white men of the gay community.
Of the LGBTQ.
When it comes to recognizing his paternity rights, George Floyd was the straight white male of black people.
Yeah.
When it comes to recognizing his right to have some kind of role in his community, respected role in his community as a black man, he would be a straight white man of the black community. So when it comes to taking care of men like George Floyd in any way, he becomes the straight white male. And considering their issues, considering their concerns, the very people who used his death to make millions would have called him the straight white male. The moment that he needed something while he was alive, he would have been considered the straight white male of the black community.
Well,
think about that.
You literally have people saying, well, black men are the straight white men of the black community, and you have, Black Lives Matter saying they want to redefine the family. They want to dismantle the white supremacist nuclear family structure and redefine the family for mothers, parents, and children.
Yep.
Yeah. The literally Black Lives Matter on their original website basically called the existence of black men to be white supremacy. Like,
Yeah,
black
and
men
mothers,
having-
parents, and children. Mothers, parents, and children.
black men having a
Parents.
role in their
Parents.
community, in their family, is white
Fathers.
supremacy.
Fathers were not mentioned.
No, and by parents they mean like other women who help. You know.
Yeah, no, it's like grandma who looks after the kids during the day or whatever.
So having men in your community, having men fulfill any role, recognizing maybe that men have a special role to fulfill, that's all white supremacy. So the very people who said that they advocated for George Floyd are the very people who were removing him from anything resembling a life worth having.
Yep. And it was
Good.
from before he was born too.
Yeah.
Like, he was born into a system that they created
All right.
that put him on that road.
But it's
Anyway.
hatred for us to point that out.
Yep.
Yeah,
Should I play some more or
a little bit more.
a little bit
Then
more?
I-
Okay,
then I
because I got to do a
then I gotta
patron
go.
show. Okay.
Times more likely to attempt suicide and significantly less likely to seek out mental health support than women.
Nope.
So we asked ourselves, what can we do to assist people in getting connected to healthy online communities?
Here's what's happening with the mental health thing. First of all, men are seeking help before they commit suicide. The problem is they're not getting it, right? So what's likely happening is they're seeking help, not getting it, not following up. So women will go to a therapist and be like, oh, this is exactly what I needed. I needed to talk to someone who won't judge me, right? And they're like, okay, I'm going to keep going, right? Men see that and they bounce, right? They try, but they don't find what they need.
No, actually,
Right, so this is
actually,
the big misnomer.
you shared a report or a study that showed that if men have a negative view of their own masculinity, they have worse mental health outcomes. And guess what the American Psychological Association does for men? It makes them feel like shit. And these people either don't know that and they're ignorant and they shouldn't be speaking on it, or they do know that and they're lying. So it's one or the other.
Yeah, you're absolutely, that's exactly right, Brian. Great point to bring up. Like, literally, the APA is constructing mental illness in men. And they're exacerbating mental illness in men. So men are going to mental health professionals, but they are not finding a solution. So putting it on men's feet like this, like, oh, the real reason why you're killing yourself or you have mental health issues is because of your inability to take care of yourself. Why do women have to do so much emotional labor? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's all bullshit. That's 100% goddamn bullshit. All right. Honestly, telling men to go to therapy is basically telling
right
them...
now? Yeah, no, I would never...
Telling them to go to therapy is these people's way of telling them to pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
No, it's not. It's like telling men to have another dose of poison, right?
Yeah,
this is like I would never send any one of my children. I mean, I guess if any of them want to go to trade school, right? Sam's thinking about maybe, becoming an electrician or something like that, right? Totally fine, right? But I saw what was coming 10 years ago. Right? More than 10 years ago, when my older two were about to graduate. And I told them, I said, I'm not paying for you to go to university. Like, I'm not fucking putting one thin dime into it. You can live here for free if you pay for it yourself, right? If you work, you have to pay rent. Not a whole lot of rent, but you have to pay rent. You can still live here until you get like enough savings, enough of a cushion to move out and have a good life, right? But I am not paying for you to go to that place and be poisoned, right? And my husband, he and his mother recommended a psychologist, and the psychologist, he's 77 years old. He's old school. right? So he goes and he sees him every now and then, and talks about things. And the guy's really good, gives him some concrete advice, and mostly about work problems and stuff like that. But it's like you have this issue with any kind of psychologist you go to nowadays, right? If they are less than 65 years old, they're going to be APA stamped, rubber stamped, right? Oh, do you hate men? Are you going to blame the man? Okay, well, are you going to tell the man how he's wrong? How he's wrong on the inside, and he has to change. Like, this is not how they approach women. They don't say, hey, women, you're bad and you should feel bad unless you completely change yourself.
And don't identify as feminine.
Yeah, don't identify as feminine, right? And then all your problems will be solved, right?
Your
They
mental
don't
health problems, which are your fault, by the way, because you identify as feminine, because you
Yeah.
value your femininity. You see, that's your
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's infuriating, and I've watched it happen at the APA, the toxic masculinity guidelines and stuff that they introduced a few years ago. Like all of these things, and them getting completely away from evolutionary psychology, any kind of consideration of that, of sex differences between men's and women's psychology. They've just been like, no, and masculinity is bad and wrong. And I'm just like, if I went to a psychologist and they told me I was bad and wrong, and that was that, and I just had to completely change how I think and how I feel and how I do things. Like, no. Not if I have a real problem. Not if I have genuine problems in my life.
It's also freaking arrogant, because the thing is that most people are experts of existing in their existence, you know?
Mhm.
Whereas the psychologist is like, no, I erase your existence and substitute my own ideology. No. Like, if you're not going to come at it from recognizing, well, this person who has lived his life has managed to live it up to this point and keep himself alive. He's the expert on that. And then maybe work with, well, you could try this, you could try that. Maybe this is something that you're working against yourself with, but to come at it from, nope, you got to erase all of the shit that's got you to this point. Like, honestly, that would turn me off. Can you imagine, like, you're a guy who's actually successfully staved off depression and suicide, and you go to one of these quacks, and they're like, well, you got to change everything because it's your fault you have these problems in the first place, and you're just doing human wrong. Like, good Lord. I would actually think that might be a contributing factor to suicide. All right. Shall we?
Okay, we want to do some more?
A little bit, yeah.
All right.
Let's see how.
Or they get connected to malicious ones. To comprehensively answer this question, we intentionally utilized a mixed methods approach of quantitative, qualitative, and primary research methods. Our quantitative research included our network analysis, which gave us an idea of where the community exists and how it reinforces itself online.
Ooh, this is actually interesting.
Qualitative research included interviewing experts from YouTube, Twitter, Moonshot, the Department of Homeland Security, and others. We incorporated all the useful information and suggestions we received from these experts into our project. Next up is more on our primary research and overall strategy.
Can we do another
This
one?
is actually interesting. Yeah, let's do a little bit more. Like, this is actually interesting.
All right.
Unsatisfied with the availability of hard data, we created a comprehensive database of incel terminology commonly utilized in online spaces in order to create an accurate network analysis of incel-related behavior on platforms like Twitter. The database,
Mildly
a significant
dangerous
portion of which
to
we
very
gleaned from
dangerous.
an incel gathering place called Incel Wikipedia, is alphabetically organized and for now stands at 80 words
I'm
and
finding it
counting.
hilarious because this guy
Some of
gives
these
off
terms are as common as
very.
incel, and
I don't mean to be rude, but this guy looks like he's very close to the subject matter, shall we say?
Okay.
others are as nuanced as black pill. Furthermore, to improve the effectiveness and usefulness of the database, we created a violation scale which denotes each term's commonality and judged hatefulness based on extensive research and our collective subject matter expertise. Important to know, however, is that while Diverting Hate's database has many terms, it will continue to evolve, expand, and adapt as we learn more about our target audience. To this end, in the coming months, our aim is to refine our methodology for compiling and ranking terms so that readers and users can better understand.
Can we get to the actual terms, or do they not cover those?
I don't know. I haven't seen this.
Okay, because this is sort of
and trace our sources.
This is a little bit like, okay, we're going through all the legalese here. I want to get to the spicy stuff, but keep going. Keep going.
But for now, we are proud to house a robust and original database that we can use to effectively target our audience through the use of network analysis. In addition, the database serves as a unique tool for social media companies to utilize when implementing our tool.
In cooperation with the Middlebury
Institute's so we don't get the.
We conduct.
So we didn't get the actual terminology, huh?
No, but it's you have to realize it's going to be like Red Pill or Pearl Davis or Fresh and Fit or Captain Save-A-Ho, Cuck.
Go to dehumanizing language right there. Recent posts, first one. There you go. Okay. Oh, here we go. There we go. Right there. Thank you, Brian.
You want me to go through this? Okay. So, dehumanizing language. This is their list, okay?
Whammon.
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 There's a violation scale, okay?
That's violation. This
is a 5. It's super
violating.
Shit,
we're already. Oh God, Brian, we're
Whammon's
already
in the chat. Emphasize the wah in whammon. W-A-H. Whammon, misspelling of the word women, derogatory term, primarily used by incels. That implies whammon are unintelligent and lacking common sense. This is a direct violation. For example,
whammon is like the wambulance. It's like it's not that the whammon are lacking common sense. It's that they're a bunch of fucking crybabies.
Yeah, that's whammon. Yeah,
whammon. Yeah, because they need to call a wambulance.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
All right, and yet somehow the next one is less violating. It's called femoids or foids. This is something I've only heard incels use. A derogatory portmanteau of female and android used by incels to describe women. It seeks to emphasize the purportedly cold nature of women and dehumanizes them. Purportedly, like women can't be cold, especially to men they aren't attracted to. That's impossible.
Oh, okay. Here's the thing too, right? Like, okay, so I could be described as an incel adjacent person, right? Okay, because I talk about men's instincts, women's instincts. I talk about our evolved psychology. I talk about all of that stuff. Like, we literally are programmed. We have wetware. Then we have layers of operating systems on top of that. And then we have like hardware, operating systems, then software installed. And that's the order, right, in which things happen. Starts off in the hardware, then it goes to the operating system, then it goes to the software, right? Okay, so it's literally oldest first, newest last in the order of operations. So we are all operating, all of us, men, women, and lizards, we are all operating primarily, first and foremost, with our lizard brains.
Yes.
With our reptilian brains. And then everything else is kind of being processed and filtered, and sometimes we make the decision before we're even aware that we've made a decision, and then we back rationalize why we did it. You know, oh, well, I did it because this, or I did it because that. No, you did it because you did it, right? And a part of your brain you're not even aware of made the decision 90% of the time, right? So, like, this, femoids and man-bots, absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm
we're
not
all
offended by
operating
that.
on our hardware.
That's not even on the violation scale for me. Like, I guess I don't have a violation scale. All right, next is feminazi, which is a 3. So these are like in descending order of offensiveness. Feminazi, I don't even think people really use that anymore. Sometimes people use it when they're saying, oh, I'm not talking about feminists, I'm talking about feminazis. And I'm like, what's the difference? But feminazi
there is no difference.
Yeah, there's no difference. I know. It's a stupid, like, distinction people try to make. It's like, oh, I'm not extreme. It's like the whole thing is extreme, dude.
It all started with third wave feminism. That's when it
all started
sour,
yesterday
right?
with the newest feminism on TikTok, right?
Mm.
Okay, so feminazi is a 3, and it says a blend between feminist and Nazi. I don't know if you guys figured that out, but
really,
that's the
I did
code.
not
I
know
just cracked the code.
I did not see that.
No, I didn't. I couldn't see that either. Derogatory term for feminists refers to extreme feminists who are said to believe in a Holocaust on men.
You mean the actual women who do and publicly state this?
No. It's some
like the ones that were given tenure at universities.
Okay, go ahead.
Mary Daly, Sally Miller Gerhardt, tenured professors, right?
Yeah.
Who got their jobs as professors of women's studies based on their belief that the male population needed to be brought down to 10% of the total human population.
Yeah.
Good grief. Again, like, this entire ideology is hateful.
It is.
Like, these people are starting from a premise of hate.
They spend a lot of time and money defending this shit too. They spend more time and money building these giant, like, these papers and these podcasts and videos and propaganda. They spend so much time and money on and effort. You see, like, they're defining these terms. They probably had, like, other professors looking over the material and spending, like, work hours of their tenure jobs to, like, make sure that they got femoid correct and incel correct and all this shit. And it's all just to protect their ideology. It's all to protect their bottom line, their jobs, their livelihood. None of this is actually addressing any of the concerns that men have. Not 1 cent goes to that. It's all like, but we have to find top G. You know, like, that's so. Let me read the last.
Incel itself offensive?
Yeah, incel gets a big paragraph because we gotta delve deep. Incel, 2 on the scale, a shortened version of involuntary celibate, which defines a person who has involuntarily abstained from relationships, whether sexual or not. I don't think you can involuntarily abstain. I think that you're kind of pushed into it, but.
Yeah,
really abstain. That abstain doesn't work there.
No, it doesn't work there. No.
God, are these people morons?
No.
Yeah.
No, they're academics. They're worse. They're intellectuals.
Oh, Jesus.
Typically, when this term is used, it represents a male who is sexually frustrated and takes to the internet to discuss their frustrations with women and lack of relationships. These discussions range from accepting various realities, pill jargon, to classifying themselves and their lack of characteristics or traits, cell terms. While some incels can be considered fringe and espouse hateful, misogynistic beliefs, that is not the case for all incels. Well, thanks for that bone.
Why does just the name rate a 2 on your?
Yeah, just the word. When you use it to attack basically men who disagree with you, do you have to, like, offer trigger warnings to the people around you so they don't get upset by the fact that you have to use the term to describe the men you hate?
Let's see what the next page is
Okay,
here.
the last one, I got to read the last one. So it's super important.
Oh.
Top G. This has a 1, and it says nickname for Andrew Tate, a media personality that has espoused extreme misogynist ideas to his significant following. Okay,
Really?
first of all, Andrew Tate is not the top G. That's Meredith G. Meredith G is the top G. Get that right.
Yeah.
That's number 1.
Yes.
Number 2, Andrew Tate is pretty fucking blue-pilled. I'm sorry. Even to me, I've seen his videos. I'm not impressed. Just saying, I'll defend his rights. I think he's treated unfairly by the media and shit. But he's not really red pilling anybody. And as far as I haven't heard one thing that he said that has blown my mind. So
I really wonder if they took the time to actually analyze our content. If the sheer level of misogynoir would just like blow out the lizard center of their brain.
Well, because okay, so I used tickling her cunt flaps earlier on. And
some serious violence there, Karen.
Yeah, no, tickling is actually a form of torture, you know.
It is.
Mm.
So, well, for people who are really ticklish. So, my husband knows not to tickle me, ever.
Okay,
ever.
so quantity.
And even my dog knows to only lick my feet in a certain way.
Quantity of posts containing key terms.
Oh yeah, so the quantity of posts. Okay. So 70, I don't know what 71 is, like 71 period or 71,000 or whatever, but at the bottom is femoid. What?
They don't have their
yeah, just as quantity,
no
71
Y.
out of 300.
There's no vertical scale. It's just like what is this out of?
Yeah, this is
you know what this is? This is out of 300 misogynoir points.
Maybe. I don't know. But at the bottom we have femoid, 71. Then feminazi at 81. It's kind of a boomer word for feminists, to be honest. Then incels at 297. Now, I just got a question. Does this include when feminists use the term? Because I feel like that's when feminists use the term. That's what that is. Because they love that word. They love it. I mean, if this was like 2014, that would be MRA instead, you know?
This is painfully, like this somebody paid for this?
Yeah, I know. So yeah, they paid
$700,000.
$700,000.
Department of Homeland Security. I could use $700,000.
Yep.
And I could tell you exactly why this is bullshit.
You got to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
God damn. This is embarrassing.
Top G, 161.
Oh my
and
God.
Whammon, 295. I think Whammon should be number 1. It's the most triggering. It's the most fun to use. I think we can. I think we can win. We have to get the top score.
Yeah, no. If you call a woman a whammon, then yeah, no, you're hitting her like right in her strong, independent soul.
Right in the baby maker. Straight shot.
Seriously.
Punch you in the ovary.
Incels, you're slacking off. You need to get those whammon.
Gotta get those whammon numbers up.
Yeah, get those whammon numbers up. This should be at least 600 out of 300 poorly explained points.
Okay, it says here. Oh, they scraped 905 posts. Posts with keywords incel or incels were 297 in total.
5?
They went through 905 posts. So and how many posts get made on Twitter every day? How many?
Well, okay, but they're describing a community. So it was 905 posts from...
How do they identify the community?
People that they'd already apparently identified as part of the community.
All right.
So...
Of the 905 scraped posts with keywords incel or incels were 297. So basically this is just reading what we looked at in terms of the chart. Then we have this other thing. I'm not really sure what this is. It looks like a kind of graph, and it has it broken up into different sections.
Sexual scarcity, defense, incels, degenerate, modern women, red pill, sexual abuse, boycott, feminist orgs.
So the biggest
feminist
are like
hypocrisy, abortion,
yeah.
feminist regret, transphobia has 12. Oh, interesting. Misandrous society 9, wokeness general 11, societal destruction 10, singlehood 2, women in politics 5, trauma healing 1, progressive women 4, traditional gender roles 5, incel news 1, PUA 3, stupid dumb 13,
It's stupid,
against
bruh.
incels 8, deep state 11, mainstream media 5. Okay, I don't even know what this is supposed to mean, but it's got a lot of things.
Well, I was gonna read it. I think there's a thing here. It says through inductive coding, different themes were established in the Getter Post sample. The most recurring themes were women being referred to as stupid, dumb, or naive, as well as critiques of modern women as degenerates and promiscuous. General transphobic posts were also captured through these key terms. I don't know, like they're just sort of lumping that in. So who knows what qualifies? I wouldn't look into that too close. I don't think it's going to reveal much. General criticisms of wokeness, of which feminism or gender equality is considered part, absolutely, were frequently coded as well. Of note, posts alleging a connection between feminism and or gender equality and the deep state were also frequently recurring. Well, yes, that's also true.
Guys, like in this document for the Homeland Security, the incels are alleging a connection between feminism and the
so the deep state, in an effort to prove that the deep state doesn't exist, is going to use its deep state powers to call out the people that are suspicious of the deep state. Good job, guys. No one will notice.
Nobody's gonna make the connections here. Good Lord.
It's not like Gloria Steinem wasn't like a known CIA asset, guys. It's not like that.
No, it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so go back down. Let's see the rest of that.
The paragraph, you mean? All right.
Okay,
there were 5 instances
instances
coded where highly offensive slurs were used to refer to women in politics, feminazi or femoid. 2 very explicit incel-related themes were coded: sexual scarcity, referring to the lack of sexual partners of some men, which is a very small percentage, by the way, and defense incels referring to posts in direct support of the incel community, which there probably should be a lot more of, by the way. Of the 136 text segments coded, 1 segment was coded under the sexual abuse theme. The post lamented that women complain about sexual harassment.
Okay, let me point this out. Like, if you compared this to the average feminist forum,
God,
just like the average socially supported feminist academic community, like women are degenerate. Well, men are considered to be defined by rapists and serial killers mentally, right? Women have power. Well, men are seen to be defined by the top 1% of 1% of men who have power. Like, women complain a lot. They're women. Oh, well, let me sip from my male tears mug.
Yep.
Like, this is unbelievable. But except one philosophy or allegation towards the other gender is being funded by Homeland Security.
Yeah.
It is. You can see it all across
both sides.
media everywhere. Both sides. Yeah. No, there's no both sides here. There's no both sides until we have the same clout as feminists.
Yeah, and men don't want that. I don't think men want to run the fucking government to make things fair. They just want the government to get the fuck out of their lives.
Well, men who do want to run the government, they're not just running the government for men.
No, they're running it for women primarily. But yeah. But I'm saying like men, like we don't want to use state power to like make life fair for men. Because like the problem is the state.
Yeah.
At least in part, you know.
Oh my God, this guy is just going door to door. Sorry, my dog started barking because.
So let's just look at the headings. Let's look at the headings.
The what?
The headings.
Headings
of the graph.
What are you talking about? What headings?
Oh, well, let's go down. Just go down a bit. Just go down. All right. I want to read this. The narrative, go back up. This is confusing as hell. The narrative for these two themes, although Sankey visualization of these themes were further explored and broken down into narratives. Firstly, the against incels category, coded 8 times, overlapped 7 times with the transphobia theme. The narrative for these two themes goes as follows. Incels, unable to get a partner and desperate to find one, gender transition to prey on women. These posts tended to be used to discredit gender transitioning as a legitimate medical treatment for gender dysphoria. This is an incel forum, and I'm guessing that they are against transmaxing?
The incels are?
Yes, like they're saying that this incel forum is saying that incels transition to women in order to prey on... transition to women to prey on them.
So, well, that depends. Are the incels saying that men who transition are preying on women? Or are they saying that they would rather live as women? Because transmaxing has nothing to do with dating women. Although
I think that this is an absolute, like, this doesn't seem consistent, or unless there is a contingent of incels in the forum that are basically calling out transmaxers.
Possibly. Again, I don't know. I think that
they're literally saying that incels are transitioning in order to prey on women, or at least the narrative says that. Okay, so that is actually kind of the TERF feminist narrative.
Yeah, but why is that popping up in an incel forum? Directed at other incels who are transmaxing. This sounds like gobbledygook.
I don't trust them to like present this fairly. I think that when incels are getting to the point where they want to live as women, they have reached the end of their rope. They're limited. They have basically run out of other options, and they're taking the most extreme measures. And I think that in many cases, because this isn't real gender dysphoria, if they're making a conscious decision to live as a woman, this is not going to go well for them.
No.
This is not something that I would want to consider at all normal. It probably is very, very, very rare and fringe. Although people are being groomed to be trans by their parents.
Yes.
So yes. There is also that.
And their schools. But what this seems to be saying, okay, is that there are people accusing incels.
Oh, BX is here in the chat, by the way. Hi, BX.
Yeah, well, we probably should finish this off. I think that this is just going to have to be a big question. Maybe in the comments, people.
No, but there are people who are accusing incels of transitioning so they can prey on women. Well, that's not men's rights activists. I don't even think that's incels. I think that's...
Yeah, but they're attributing it to an incel forum. Yeah, that's TERFs. Like, okay, guys, did you just wander into a TERF forum by accident?
Yeah.
I mean, they are incels, femcells, but I mean, I can... Look, what is this? This doesn't even make sense coming from incels, is what we're getting at. But maybe somebody in the comments can clarify this big question mark that we have now?
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
let's... what do you want to do?
I
got to do a Patreon show. What?
Yeah, no, we need to stop. We need to stop because I have responsibilities. I have two dogs that need fed.
We don't have much left. I just want to see the end. That's it. Roll all the way to the end. Scroll that ass down. Okay, I don't even know what that... There you go. Right there, the conclusion. I don't even know what that freaking spaghetti mess is.
This is just where these things overlap. Look, we're BX, I see you in the chat. We'll talk about it. We'll go do a deep dive when you come on, okay? I've been doing this for like 2.5 hours, and I have to do an after show. It's crazy. I'm just not, that's just too much. So we're going to finish it here. Stay in touch with me on Twitter, Badger Arcade. I've been messaging you. We'll figure it out. I do want to talk about it. I want to get to the bottom of it, truthfully. Okay, what were you saying?
This preliminary study sought to understand the thematic foci of manosphere-related content on Getter. The general frequency of criticism of purported wokeness and degeneracy indicates that Getter's ideological foci rely primarily on a far-right vernacular and simultaneously draws on some manosphere concepts. However, most of its discourse relies on deep state conspiracies interwoven with anti-feminist ideals. Says the feminist being funded by Homeland Security.
Yeah.
A small number of codes for the sexual scarcity and pickup artist PUA themes indicate there are some sub-movements of the manosphere present on Getter. Overall, this study suggests Getter is a useful platform for analysis of evolving discussions of the manosphere and their overlap with ideological communities. All right, this is based on a bit more than 900 posts that they got on Getter. Good Lord. Somebody's getting a
but
paycheck
they are
for this,
among
and
us.
that's the real.
So.
Okay, somebody's getting a paycheck for this, and that is the real tragedy here.
Oh yeah, no. Like I'm
oh, and they're getting more than this too. They're because this is what the government gave them. If they probably, I don't know if BX knows, but they probably got donations from other foundations, you know,
Yeah.
and they probably got paid like big time to do shit like this.
And what the hell does this do? Like, you know, you could just address men's issues.
No, Allison. No, they
That's
can't.
too much work. Why would you do that when you can just pay like random college students, like, you know, nearly $1 million to just infuse the internet with propaganda so that men get driven away to places where they won't get any help and are more likely to commit suicide? Why would you make it so easy when you can make it way harder and spend more money?
Agreed.
Oh, good Lord. Like, why don't you just...
Okay. Don't ask. Don't ask
I'm
why.
not gonna ask anymore.
Why wouldn't you just...
The rabbit hole of why just opens up and everyone gets swallowed in. Okay.
Yeah, no, we're done.
Thank you guys for listening. Feedthebadger.com/support to support the show. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip if you want to send us a message. If you enjoyed this content, you want to tell us we aren't screaming into the void. And we will take those comments and read them at the next relevant show, which will be shortly, according to Brian, since he's going to have the individual who brought up all this research. And so, yeah, let's back to you, Brian.
Yeah, so if you
Karen had a
guys like this
last
video,
thought.
please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave a comment, let me know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. There's links to the original Twitter thread in the description. I am going to be, I think BX, who's in the live chat right now, will be, the plan is for her to come on Monday at like, in the 6 o'clock or something. So hopefully she can make that. And shout out to the Rumble gang. I forgot to shout out to you guys before, but you know, throw some emojis or gifs in the chat for the Rumble gang. And because I want to make Rumble a platform. What?
There's a last super chow that got in the last.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna read it out. I did get one more super chow from Richard Bier. He gives us $5 and says, and these people doing this investigation are also complaining that men are preferring video games to casual sex. Yeah, well, you know, again,
you know, I think the general
they want to take everything away from them and then complain when they find some other place to escape into. So.
Yeah, men exist. I mean, that's the general complaint. Men exist.
Yeah, that is the complaint. Yeah. Men exist. Oh, God.
Affected.
Yeah, anyway. So
women most harmed, yeah.
We're gonna go into the patron show now, so join me there. I think I'll be in the probably just the Nerdcast after show, so that's kind of a low level thing if you want to join us. And yeah, with all that said, share the video because sharing is caring. Thanks guys for coming on today's episode of the Rantzerker. We'll maybe go through more of it later, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.